for the school over there.
Okay, Officer Ruby Gonzales?
Ruby,
Okay,
and that one's Gonzales with the Z.
okay.
She was covering Morales Junior High, Monday and Tuesday.
Who was assigned to the Robb Elementary School yesterday?
Nobody was assigned to Robb Elementary.
No officers, no assigned. How many schools do you have in Uvalde that you guys cover?
Uvalde High School,
Mm-hmm.
Uvalde Morales Junior High, Flores Elementary.
Mm-hmm.
We have the Dual Language Academy, which is Anton School. If you actually look it up, it's Anton School.
Mm-hmm.
Robb Elementary, and then we have Crossroads, which is the kids kind of, they work at their own pace, you know, to get their GED or their diploma and things like that, and for expecting mothers. And then we got a campus on at Batesville Elementary.
In Batesville.
Yes, and Dalton Elementary, which is our pre-K and kindergarten class.
So during the day, are you guys assigned marked units?
Yes, we have a marking unit.
Okay.
They're actually we take them home.
Okay. So, going back to yesterday, can you walk me through just basically your entire workday from the time you checked on and what you did and then how?
Okay, I checked in at the high school right before 9 o'clock,
Mm-hmm.
and I actually met one of the sergeants from the police department. We're out there talking for a little bit.
Mhm.
He asked me if I was going to go to the park, which is we call it the Western Park, the Mexican Park. It's actually named Parque de Jardín de los Héroes,
Mhm.
you know, Park of the Heroes.
Mhm.
The senior class was having activities out there for them, which is a senior class because they're getting ready to graduate. He goes, "Are you going out there?" Because they told us to actually patrol the park. I go, "No, nobody's told me." Then my Lieutenant Mike Hernandez texted me and said if I can go out there from 9:30 to 11:30 with the seniors.
Okay.
So I got on location to the Western Park, drove around because there's some of our local, you know, I guess drunks hang out there just, you know, waiting, just, you know, doing whatever, utilizing the restroom, you know, taking baths and everything like that. So patrolled it. There was a couple of people there, just drove around because the kids, like I said, towards I want to say the back end of the park, there's a little basketball court and a volleyball court. Some of the kids were playing basketball, and the two people that I observed were actually sitting on the park bench. So I just drove around, just let them know that I was there.
Okay.
Parked a couple of spaces, stopped, looked to make sure everybody was, you know, nobody was getting approached.
Mhm.
Drove around, finally got off, and, you know, interacted with the kids and the principal and some of the staff.
Mhm.
I want to say maybe about 11, 15, they started debriefing the kids, telling them, you know, we're gonna get ready to, because they bus them out there. So they have about 4 to 5 buses out there in the park. So they were telling them, hey, we're gonna give you some packets. The packets were for the pictures for graduation. And you need this, and you need to turn in before the day of the graduation and stuff like that. So they were telling the kids before they get on the bus to make sure they're, you know, stuff like that. So some of the kids started walking towards the bus, and then I heard on the police radio of 1050, which was an accident at Geraldine and Grove Street. So I told the assistant principal, Joel Barbosa, hey, I'm taking off. I go, there's an accident by the school.
Mhm.
So at the Western Parks, I want to say maybe about the 800 block. Robb is like 400 block of Geraldine. So I came up, I left, and then when I was actually getting in my car, I heard the radio traffic that the guy has a gun. So I turn on my red and blue lights. I'm not running sirens, so just red and blue lights. I come out of the park, which is Farrar Street, take a left on South Farrar, because the park's actually on 4R Street. So I go up 4R Street, cut on West Garden, the 300 block, 400 block, and then I go up South Evans Street. From South Evans, I hit Geraldine. So Geraldine actually is where the school's at, sits on Geraldine and Ocarrizo. When I approach, I don't know if you're familiar with it, Geraldine has a little twist on it. Okay, towards the back of the school where the vehicle was at, like a half a block up, there's a little twist. So when I came up, I heard the traffic. I don't know if it was when I was on Geraldine on Evans that he was running towards the school. So there was no clothing description provided. So when I came up, I saw people at that curve, like standing, looking towards the school. So when I came up to school, I observed the truck inside the, I could say a bar ditch, but it has like a concrete where I guess the water sits, so it doesn't sit, so it flows. It was sitting in there, and the rails were all broken up and stuff like that. So when I came up, the actual back gate, the teacher, I guess it's a teacher parking lot. There's a teacher parking lot towards the Old Carrizo, and there's a teacher, I guess the teachers that have classrooms in that where the shooting happened, parked there. But there's a gate, it should have been closed, it was wide open. So when I approached, I actually saw a lady in a peach, maybe orange t-shirt running. You know, I didn't know it was a lady or not. I knew it was a lady after I made contact with her, but I saw her, went to her because they said they were running towards the school. I was going over there towards her. No sirens, just light, red and blue lights. I see her fall in a dust of cloud. So I get to her and I realize she's one of the coaches. I don't know her name, dark complected coach, short hair, boyish, tomboyish coach. And she tells me, he's over there. I go, who's over there? He goes, he's over there, the shooter. He's wearing black. And I go, where? So when I turn, actually, my vehicle's still there. At the school, it's the Crown Vic that says UCISD. It's close over there. So when I get out and I approach her, she's like, he's over there. I go, where? She goes, he's over there, he's in black by the teacher parking. So when I look, I start hearing rounds going off. I don't know where they're coming from, but I just know they're getting muffled, they're behind the building. So then I hear like banging. So I think I under my radio, I don't know if I break, I said, hey, shots fired at Robb School. And then I tell him, the general location where he's at. So I start moving up, trying to get from front of my vehicle to the back. There was the only thing that was the tree and then the building. So I started walking towards there, and then I see an officer, one of the PD officers coming, and then all of a sudden I see like glass coming out and firing, somebody firing in glass, a couple of rounds come out of the glass, and I tell the PD officer, get back, it's coming from over there. So we get there, I want to say Sergeant Page from the Uvalde Police Department show up, and the chief show up. Chief Arredondo show up. So the chief, Donald Page, and myself go in on one side. Lieutenant Martinez from the Uvalde Police Department and Sergeant Canales come in through the other side, to the back door. And
what door did you enter?
I entered the door where my vehicle's at, so it's going to be the south door.
Okay, because the school's right here.
Yes.
And then there's a big field.
Yes.
And then this is a ravine, right?
Yes.
And this is where the vehicle was?
Yes.
So you approached?
There's a gate right there. Yes, there's a gate. Yes.
Okay. So you parked here?
No, I drove in because, like I say, I saw that lady running. She was actually about right here in this area.
Okay.
So I made contact with her. There's like a breezeway with the kids, like an Onyx.
Yes.
Okay. I made contact with her, and she tells me he's over here. She's pointing this way. He's over there. He's dressed in black. I go, where? And she goes to the teacher parking lot. I want to say I saw a black car at that end, and then I started hearing the rounds go off, and they're like banging, like somebody hitting a metal door. I can't see nothing because it's behind the building. I can't see it. So I notify everybody on the radio the best I could, and then as soon as I start walking over there, I see the rounds come out of the window.
Okay. So when you drove through this gate, you said it was open?
That gate was open.
Okay.
And it should have been locked.
How far did you drive in?
To where my vehicles stopped. Yeah.
There's a pavilion back here, like a big seat,
Yes.
big roof.
Yeah.
So it's in between the school building?
Yeah.
Okay. So you park here, because I know that there's a hallway that goes.
Yeah, there's like a walkway, yes.
Okay.
Actually, where the vehicle's sitting at, that's where I actually stopped at.
Okay, so you drove up to her,
Yeah.
and she's pointing that he's over here?
Yeah, he's behind the building in the black. He's dressed in black.
Okay. And when you drove through, did you see
I
anybody?
didn't see anybody.
Okay. Did you have does your unit have a camera?
No,
So there's no audio, video in your?
no, there's
Okay.
no.
Do you guys wear body cameras?
Okay.
What unit number is that?
Unit 44.
Unit 44. What kind of vehicle is it?
It's 2019,
Mm-hmm.
maybe Ford Fusion.
Ford Fusion.
Yeah, white and color.
Okay. So you drove up to her, she's pointing this way, and when you're talking to her, that's when you start hearing?
Yeah, she said, he's over there. I go, where? She goes, he's over there by the by the parking lot. And then she goes, he's dressed in black, and then I hear the rounds go off.
Okay, because there's a door right here, right?
Yes, there's a
Goes to
door,
school?
yes.
All right.
There's
And
actually a
there's
door.
windows Here?
And then there's a side door right there.
Here?
Yes.
Okay.
That's where we made entry with the chief and Sergeant Donald Page.
Oh, okay, so you and Paige came through here, okay.
And I want to say Lieutenant Martinez and Sergeant Gonzales from the PD came in through that back door because we were facing
This
each
one?
other. Yes,
Okay. In Canales, you said?
yes. Chief Arredondo was with us on our end.
When you said you heard gunshots, would you believe to be gunshots, and you
Yeah.
saw a window?
Like glass shot,
breaking?
yes.
Coming, now was it on these windows or these windows?
No, it was actually on these windows.
On these windows?
Yes.
Okay. When you saw that happen, where were you?
I was,
So at that point, did he point to a spot for you?
Yes,
And which windows was he talking about?
he was talking about the windows on the east side of the main hallway where the shooting occurred of rooms 111 and 112.
And so, looking at State's Exhibit 1, you're familiar with the Robb Elementary setup, are you not?
Yes,
If this is the fourth grade wing, which windows was he speaking of?
he was speaking about these windows on the east side of the building.
Did he saw shots coming out?
Yes.
Thank you.
there was actually a tree right there in that area.
Yes.
In that area, I was walking towards the building.
Okay. So when you made entry with Adrian and Chief Arredondo, what did you see inside the school?
Just, when we opened the doors, it looked like, have you ever seen somebody sell a fire extinguisher?
Mhm.
The smoke, that's what it looked like,
Okay.
smoke burn, something burning. So, we went in there, we kinda knew he was in that area, cause I kinda told him, I don't remember if I told him, hey, it's like 3 or 4 windows down,
Mhm.
he's in there, so we kinda all, came in together, and, I didn't see, Lieutenant Martinez get hit, but I don't know what he did,
Mhm.
that he started firing, and then you see him go like that, and everybody scooped back.
Okay.
So I think he got hit, so we kind of moved back, as we're departing, because he was laying fire.
Mhm.
When Donald Page stepped back, you see a piece of the shear come through, a round come through.
Mhm.
So we back up, and Page is yelling at Javi, hey, are you hit? Are you hit? And I see Javi holding his inner thigh, and he goes, yeah, I'm hit, but I'm good. So they walk out, and we walk out.
Okay. When that's
Well, you
going
know
on.
what? Sergeant Coronado was with us too.
Coronado?
Yes. He's with the UPD.
Okay. UPD. When these gunshots are going off inside where exactly are you inside the building?
I want to say I'm going to be by the first classroom,
Mhm.
right here.
Okay. Do you know what number it is?
No, like I said, there's a hallway.
Yes.
It's a hallway, so I'm going to be the first one right here. Then I want to say Pages right here.
On the same highway, but across the hall?
I'm actually on the back hall, the back wall, and Pages on this front wall, and Chief and Coronado's on this side.
Okay. And while you four gentlemen are here, where do you think the shooter's at? I know there's a hallway that goes this way, right?
Yeah, that's gonna be further more to the end over
Okay.
here, yeah.
All right. Is there another hallway that comes down this way?
I know it runs from that back door to the front, there's a door over here.
Okay, that long hallway?
Yeah.
All right.
So I wanna say there's a hallway here,
Mhm.
and like I said, Lieutenant Martinez was here and Sergeant Canales was there.
Okay, so they were in front of you? down
They were in
there?
front of us, yeah.
Okay.
We were like, angled in it that way.
Okay. You didn't see Martinez get hit,
No,
but when did you notice that he might be?
because he's brought it down, and then I heard Paige tell him, "Are you hit? Are you hit?" And he said, "Yeah," and he like moved backwards, and everybody kind of went back because he started laying around. So I don't know. Like I said, I talked to him. He said he kind of peeked in, and that's when the rounds went in. But he said he never saw him.
Mhm.
So the classrooms were dark. From my point of view, the classrooms were all dark. So
Okay, were the teachers that turned off?
yeah, the teachers are instructed to turn off. That's part of the lockdown procedure.
Okay, what else is part of the lockdown procedure?
Whenever something like that happens, there's a threat on school, they go on. Because it's called a Raptor system,
Mm-hmm.
and that sends automatic notification to everybody on campus, all the teachers either through their laptops or their iPads, whatever they have, it sends them the system and it automatically goes to lockdown. And the front office should deploy something over the intercom saying the lockdown, so.
Okay. So, you guys how many rounds do you think you heard when you were inside the building?
Inside the building, 7 to 9 maybe,
7 to 9
Yeah.
rounds? And when you were outside,
about 13 or 14 rounds.
13 or 14, before you guys actually
Yeah,
went into
yeah,
it?
yeah.
Okay. So after Martinez gets injured, what happens right after that?
We scoot back, and I think we call for the SWAT team to come in.
Do you remember who called for the SWAT team?
I don't know if it was me or Sergeant Coronado, because we couldn't break in the restroom, we couldn't break in the hallway. For some reason, our radio repeatedly don't break inside the buildings, none of the buildings, school buildings.
Okay.
So I think we called them while we were outside.
So the four of you, Donald Page, yourself, Chief Arredondo, and Sergeant Coronel, did you exit the same?
Yes, exit
door?
the same door.
And where did you guys go after that?
We held perimeter right there at that door.
At the door?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know where Martinez and Canales went?
No, I don't know. I couldn't,
Okay.
they were out of my view. The last time I saw them was when Paige was asking Martinez if he was hit, and he goes, "Yeah, I'm okay, I got hit, I'm okay."
Mhm.
They're in that hallway right
So you
there.
could just hear them coming down?
I can see them.
Okay,
We
you
can see them,
see
yeah,
them?
you can see them. yeah.
About how far are they from you, down the hall?
Maybe 50 yards? No, that's just wrong. About 25 to 30 feet, 25 to 30 yards
25 to 30
Yeah.
yards down the hallway?
down the hallway.
Okay.
They're in actually the hallway that runs from that back door to the front door.
Okay. So you guys exit, and then who started calling for the SWAT team?
I want to say either I broke or Coronado broke. One of us broke because, like I said, we weren't getting service. So we walked out, and I want to say I called, but I don't know if I called to activate the SWAT team.
Okay.
I called the dispatch.
Now, during the break that you guys went outside, were there still
No
rounds
more,
being
no,
fired?
no.
Okay. How long do you think you guys were out there for?
Maybe 20, 30 minutes.
20, 30 minutes? Was there radio traffic going back and forth?
Yeah, there was a lot of radio traffic.
Okay.
I know one of the traffics I heard somebody said, call as many agencies as you can.
Okay. But you don't recall who it was? Okay. Now, during those 20 or 30 minutes, you said you heard 7 to 9 rounds while you were approaching the building, right? That's when the glass is breaking that you said on this side?
Yes.
Okay. And then you went
Don't
inside?
turn around, now it's inside.
Inside?
Yes, outside was
You
more.
heard 13 and 14 on outside?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. And then this was inside?
Because I know Chief out of London stayed close in the hallway, and we're trying to, I remember talking to, I want to say Officer Salcedo, and there was a trooper, a female trooper that was with them, and I told them to stay where they're at because glass, you know, they were shooting out the window. And if you look from that window that's broken, there's a hallway, classroom hallway, and then there's another one. And I want to say Lieutenant Hernandez came up there, and I told him to keep the other hallway clear because that had a straight shot, you know, line of fire, you know, so nobody, you know, nobody else, none of the blue guys can get hit there. So I told him, you know, keep that area open. So.
Okay. When you come back outside and you guys radio for the SWAT team and you're requesting assistance, you guys were out there for 20 to 30 minutes. Was there any more, did you hear any more gunshots?
No more.
So everything just got quiet?
Quiet.
Was there teachers running out or could you see any students in the hallway?
No.
Okay. So initially when you guys made entry, the
No.
doors were closed?
The
You
doors
saw
were
lights were off?
yes, lights were off. Yes.
No kids were?
No kids were running around. The thing is, on the lockdown, it's everything quiet. They hide, take cover, and complete silence. You know, we teach them, you know, if they have cell phones, you know, turn them off or silence them. Mostly the older kids, because they'll start texting family, so that's kind of one of the things that we preach in the in-service, because we teach this program in the in-service, you know, that, hey, the secure, the hold, and the lockdown, you know. So, yeah, and that's on our Raptor system. It's like I said, every employee at the school district is required to be on it. That way they can, you know, they can be outside and the coach can hit that alarm and put that whole school on lockdown and not, you know, not do anything, you know, can just be there because they have firsthand knowledge of what's going on. Because they're outside, the coach can actually get on that Raptor system and lock down the school from his location. He doesn't have to call the main office or the principal say, hey, we're gonna go on lockdown. He can lock it down and everybody, it's a mass text, it'll get a mass alert, your phone goes off and it gives you an alert.
So any faculty member, police officer, any employee?
Any school district employee can set it off.
Okay.
Yeah, it's on the school, the Uvalde Police Department, the Sheriff's Department, none of them have access. You have to be a school employee to have that, so.
So what happened after, you guys were out there 20, 30 minutes, what happened after that?
Just the radio traffic back and forth. I went and checked on Officer Ruben Reese because he told us that his wife called him, Miss Mireles, and that she was hit and she was dying.
You went to go check up?
I checked on him. He was in one of the back of the patrol. I want to say Lieutenant Vargas's unit. He was sitting there with Lieutenant Hernandez. I was trying to, you know, calm.
Because he had already gotten.
Because he got a call from his wife and Detective Rodriguez and Lieutenant Hernandez. He tried to make entry and they held him back from going in. And they took his pistol, his duty pistol away because he wanted to go in. So after he received that phone call, so they actually had to take his gun away and sit him down. So
what happened after that?
I want to say we started pulling kids out from the first classroom. If you look at on this side, there's the first window. We opened that window and we pulled kids out.
Okay.
And what we did, we pulled kids down, we just told them to run.
Okay.
There was officers there and maybe some family members, they were running too.
Okay.
And then we came to this one and I want to say it was myself, Donald Page, and I want to say, I just know his last name Gonzales, he's a Border Patrol agent. He broke that window.
Okay.
And once again, he showed you on a paper which windows that they were evacuating the kids? Is that
Yes.
And which windows were those?
Windows on the west side of school.
On the opposite side of where you
Yes.
saw the glass breaking out with the shots fired?
Yeah, it was these windows to these classrooms.
Thank you.
broke that window, and then we pulled kids out of there, and we just went strategically all the way down, pulling kids out of the windows, breaking windows.
When you guys were pulling kids out of the classrooms through the windows, did you notice that any of the kids were injured?
No, none of the kids were injured, yes.
So all of the kids that were on these windows, they were removed safely?
They were removed safely, yes.
Okay, and they were taken to the front of the?
They were taken towards that gate where,
Okay.
that I came into.
Okay. During all this time, is there any more gunfire that
No.
you hear? Okay.
Somebody came up and said there's I guess the Vortex team was coming up, and I wanna say somebody said there's gunfire, but I didn't hear it.
Mhm.
But somebody said it, you know,
Mhm.
just, who said it, I can't tell you, because like I said, there was at least 30 to 40 people hunkered down right there at that entrance, you know, just
Mhm.
people waiting to, you know,
Mhm.
get there and stuff like that. You
Mhm.
know, I guess the Vortex team was waiting for their guys, and, you know, troopers were getting there. Everybody it was just a big old cluster, you know.
Mhm. Okay. What happened after that?
After that, I guess the Vortex team got there, and I want to say I ran from this location.
Mm-hmm.
There's another part of the school here that runs the fence line.
Yes.
I ran there, and I went and got some master keys,
Okay.
Canadian master keys to the classroom.
Who did you grab them from?
Cubish, I know he's one of the mains guy, one of the second guy in command with the mains. I know his last name is Cubish.
Cubish.
Yeah. I actually met him by the cafeteria.
Okay.
Met him there, and he gave me the key, and he said, "There our master or something." He said, "One of those will open all the doors."
Okay. Now, you were by the door for 20 to 30 minutes, and then you said you went to go check up on
Ruben Reese.
Ruben Reese?
Yes.
And you said he was with Lieutenant Vargas?
Lieutenant Hernandez. He was in Lieutenant Vargas' car.
Okay. In Lieutenant Vargas' car. Mariano Vargas?
Yes,
right?
sir.
Okay. And where were they stationed at?
There were, I want to say their vehicle, there was teachers parking right here, they were somewhere in that area. Right?
So there was teachers already coming into the
No, the
gate?
teachers were already parked there.
Oh, okay, they were
Yeah,
already parked
right
there?
there, yeah.
Okay, so he parked behind the vehicles?
You know, I want to say he's parked somewhere in there, his vehicle's actually still there.
Okay.
It's a black Tahoe.
How long were you there with Ruben Reese and Lieutenant Vargas?
10 minutes maybe.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Just assessing Ruben Reese?
Just, yeah, making sure he was okay, because he was like, she's in there, she's bleeding, April, she called me, I could, Ruben, calm down, you know, trying to calm him down.
Mhm.
But, you know, he was like, I guess in the daze, he was just,
Mhm. Okay. Is that where you ran to go meet Cubish for the?
yes, because we have our school radios, and Lieutenant Hernandez called me and said, hey, can you go get keys from the office? So I tried to call Officer Gonzales on our school radio, she wasn't breaking in the location she was at, and we ended up meeting there at the actual office,
Mhm.
and she was looking for keys, and I went and got them from Cubish in the front, so.
Okay. So after you grabbed the keys, where did you go from there?
I went back to
the front?
to the front, to actually back right here, and I met Ranger Kendall, and I gave him the keys.
Okay, so you gave the keys to Ranger Kendall?
Yeah.
Okay. What happened after that?
They made entry.
Mhm.
Before they made entry, we set up EMS right there at the door, at least 3 or 4 stretchers.
Mhm.
And then I grabbed some gloves, and they made entry, they said it was clear, and they started pulling bodies out, and we started, pulling kids out.
During this whole time that you're grabbing the keys, did you ever hear any gunfire?
No,
So the last time you heard gunfire was when you were in here
yes, when Lieutenant Martinez got
and you
hit.
guys pulled back
Yes.
to the rear? Do you remember who was with Ryan Kendall? Do you remember?
No.
And they made entry through the side door, right? On this one?
Yes, they made entry to the
Okay. How long do you think they were in there for?
I was in there for maybe 3 or 4 minutes, and then they started pulling everybody out. One of the border patrol agents said only medics are allowed in there, you know, to work on kids. And when I walked out, they were working on missing it, that's right there at the door.
That door,
Yes.
okay. So when Kendall made entry with the team, did you go in there with them?
No,
You didn't?
No.
You stayed on the outside?
I stayed outside with the EMTs,
Okay.
myself and Detective Rodriguez.
Did you hear any more gunfire after that?
I heard maybe 2 to 3,
Mm-hmm.
that was it.
Okay. And they were coming from inside the school?
Yes. Somebody said, hold the line, hold the radio, because they were making entries, so,
Okay.
right before they made entries. I wanna say that's gonna be Officer Michael Water that made that remark.
Mhm.
And the voice is kind of, he has this distinct voice that, you know, I can see him behind me, I know he's talking, so I worked with him for several years, so.
Officer Michael?
Michael Wally with the Uvalde Police Department. 320.
When they made entry, you stayed by the door, and you said, did they return to the door and start handing you kids, or did you go back in?
No, we actually went in and, I actually went in and tried to see if I could help, but they were just dragging bodies out, you know, taking kids out and stuff.
Who did you go in there with?
I just followed the group that went in, so,
Mhm.
nobody in particular, so. I can tell you right now, I was part of the only CISD in there, besides Chief and, I think just Chief, the Chief was I saw Chief in there, so,
Okay.
but I was nowhere near him, so.
So you two, Chief Arada and yourself, were the only ones from,
I wanna say
From
from school
Uvalde
district that
School
was in there,
PD?
yes.
but you didn't go in with the initial?
No, I didn't go
entry
with
team?
entry team, no.
You just waited?
Waited, yes.
Okay. Did anybody come back to open the door, or say it was clear, or anything like that?
They cleared the building, and then, I remember giving somebody the keys, because they wanted a secondary search to clear the rest of the classrooms.
Okay.
So, I know the guys that cleared, the hallway where they made it, the hallway that they came in through,
Mhm.
I gave the keys to the guys, and they cleared those. Or I gave mine to Chief Arredondo. I gave them the keys, I go, here's our master keys, and there was 2 master keys out,
Mhm.
so they were checking them, so.
Okay. Ranger Kendall had one of the sets of
Yes.
keys? Okay. How long do you think you waited when they made entry? How long do you think they were in there for?
Maybe a couple of minutes, 2 or 3 minutes, yeah.
Before the initial clearing, right?
Yes.
Did you ever fire any rounds
No, sir.
during that conference? Okay, so you didn't fire any rounds?
No.
What were you, is that the uniform you're wearing?
Yes.
Okay, the exact same thing?
Same thing.
Okay.
Minus a tourniquet. I
Okay.
gave a tourniquet to one of the EMTs and one of the Portec guys, and we were grabbing as many as we can, so I gave them mine.
Okay.
Because they were prepping, you know, for the victims.
When you were posted to school, are you guys issued a rifle?
No, sir. We don't
So,
have rifles.
Just your sidearm?
Just your sidearm.
And is that issued, or is that?
That's an issue.
Okay, what kind of?
It's a Glock 40
Mhm.
by a Gen 5,
Model 22?
Model 22.
40 cal. And how many magazines do you carry?
3 magazines of 15, and then I got 1 in the chamber.
Okay. So 46 rounds total.
Yes, sir.
During the entire course of when you first drove in and made contact with the female coach that fell, and then she's giving you direction of where he's at, she never gave you a description?
She just said he was wearing all black.
He was wearing, okay, so she told you he was
Yeah,
wearing all
she
black?
was, he's over there, he's wearing, by the parking lot, wearing all black. And then
Okay.
that's when this run started going on.
Okay. Did you ever see the subject?
No, I never saw him.
Okay. Did anybody that was with you get a glimpse of him?
As far as I know, no.
Do you know if anybody on the entry team was wearing a body camera? Detective Page, Chief Aguilar?
Maybe Sergeant Coronado was wearing one. I can't guarantee you, but maybe Sergeant Coronado and Sergeant Canales. Because Sergeant Page is the sergeant of, I guess he does internal affairs and stuff like that, and the hiring and stuff like that. So I don't know if they carry, him and Lieutenant Martinez, I don't know if they got a body cam available.
And they're both with Uvalde
With the Uvalde
PD?
Police Department. But Sergeant Canales and maybe Sergeant Coronado may have body cams on.
Do you have any questions?
No, but I'd like to just clarify something, that way we're all on the same sheet. So when you come up here, right, sir,
Yes.
you never see that individual anywhere?
Never see
You
him.
never see him
No.
drop in?
No.
Okay. And as you're entering that door, right, you're hearing gunfire, correct?
No, we never entered this door.
Okay. So you never went inside the school?
Never went inside the school till I got coverage over here, then we made entry.
Okay.
Yeah.
But as you're standing out here, you're hearing,
I heard,
I want to ask you about the statement he just made, that I never went in until I got coverage.
Yes.
We have been talking for quite some time about cover as a wall or something of that nature. Cover
Yes.
from gunfire.
Mhm.
But it's used differently here, is it not?
Yes.
And what does, I didn't go in until I got coverage, what does that mean to you as a police officer?
He didn't make entry until there was other officers covering the west door.
So coverage means other officers
Yes.
covering for you.
Yes.
And he didn't say west door, is that correct? He just said coverage.
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you.
heard like 3 or 4, and that's what, no, when I went in, no, there's no gunfire.
right. I guess what I'm just trying to make sure I understand is, when you guys went in, right,
Yes.
you were hearing gunfire?
No, not at that time, no.
The gunfire's
Yeah.
done?
Done, and then when we tried, I don't know, like I said, I don't know what Lieutenant Martinez did, then, 7 to 9 rounds go off, and it's, like I said, it's a high, I can't say it for sure, it's an AR-15, but it's a high-power rifle, you can hear it,
And do you guys take the hallway? What I mean by take the hallway, you guys are inside in the hallway, right?
Yes.
So do you take that hallway? In other words, are you there? Are you ready to go if he comes out?
Yes,
Okay. And then, because there's no radio traffic and the radios aren't working, do all y'all come out or just you?
me, Coronado, and I wanna say Page come out. Chief stands in the area where he's trying to make contact with them. He's trying to talk to him, come out and talk to him.
Okay.
That was the last of traffic.
Okay, is he inside the building?
He's inside the building.
So just inside the door, would you
Yeah,
say?
right there, yeah.
Okay, so then, the only one left in there at that time is the chief, and then it's, you
Yeah.
three are outside?
Yeah, we have the door open, and we're holding it.
Okay. All right. And then you're telling us that as you're standing there, you're hearing more gunfire?
No,
The gunfire is over.
gunfire's over, yes.
All right. I just wanted to clarify that. Your dispatch, will they have audio video recording?
They should have radio recording of it, so,
Or you would come out and say,
yeah.
you mentioned that you call for backup?
Yes. And I wanna say I think Lieutenant Vargas was the first unit I saw, and I told him to come to me, but he, went the other way, and then Sergeant Page came up to my location.
When the rounds are being fired, sir, are you, I don't need the paper, I'm just trying to, as the rounds are being fired, is there a reason why you don't fire?
Because I don't see where the rounds are coming from.
That way we can
Yeah,
explain.
I know they're coming from the back over here, I just don't know where they're coming from.
Okay.
So,
And you know anybody else that you know of at that time fired back, right?
No.
Because nobody,
not that, as far as
at least you.
at least me, I did not fire. Yeah, I did
And
not.
that's because-
I didn't see them. I heard them, but I didn't see them. And they're echoing, so I don't know. I know they're coming from the back. I just don't know where from.
When you guys made that entry into the hallway, there was 4 of you. Did anyone in that group of 4 say, hey, we need to go down this hallway and we need to find this shooter?
No.
No? Did you think about that, or did it ever cross your mind?
It did cross our mind, but
Mhm.
we just never. Nobody ever made. We were just covering each other. That's what basically what we're doing.
Mhm.
Holding. Covering Chief and covering Page, and then putting on the covering us. So.
Mhm.
I want to say there was only one AR, and that was Sergeant Gonzales had the AR. Everybody else had
Pistols?
pistols.
Okay. Did anybody ever suggest that when Lieutenant Martinez was hit, hey, we need to go grab Lieutenant Martinez, or we need to?
No, because he was actually mobile.
Mhm.
So-
Okay, he was.
So,
moving.
yeah, so it was moving, and I want to say Lieutenant Vargas
Mhm.
called for EMS.
Okay. Was Lieutenant Vargas with them?
He was in the back. I don't know, I didn't see him, so I can't
Okay.
tell you for sure.
You could just hear.
I know he was there because he was the first one that I saw from my location where I was parked,
Mhm.
and I told him to come to me
Mhm.
for cover, because he had the bigger unit, and, but he did.
We have that word cover and unit there, correct?
Correct.
That he saw Pargas, I told him to come to me for cover because he has a bigger unit. Would you tell us what that means?
From what I observed in the interview, I understood that at some point he may have wanted to use the Lieutenant Vargas's vehicle because it was a bigger unit, bigger vehicle as coverage if he needed it.
And so he called Pargas over so he could have more cover.
That's correct. But then Lieutenant Vargas went to the west side door, and that's when Sergeant Donald Page went over to Mr. Gonzales and met him at the south door.
The next car that came was Page.
I believe so.
He deterred and went to that area, and then Sergeant Page is the one that came to me.
And of course, because it's a lockdown, there's still kids
Yes.
in the classrooms.
So that's our concern. Do we fire and, do kids get hit? So we don't know the status of it. I tried to call the office. I know when I was out there and seeing that the kids were in class, and they kept telling me that there was kids in that classroom.
Mhm.
So when we came out, we through the school radio. So,
Now, when you hear the gunshots inside, do you hear any screaming?
no,
Do you hear any teachers calling for help?
no, nothing. By the time we went in, it was quiet.
Mhm.
So I don't know, like I said, if they were injured or they were doing what the lockdown is, keeping quiet, so.
Mhm. You know approximately what time the lockdown came into effect through a text or?
Check if it's on the Raptor. Sometimes when the alerts go off, they kind of,
Is that an app?
that's an app, it's a Raptor.
How do you spell it, sir?
It's $1132.
At 11:32, and Raptor is,
R8,
Mhm.
let me show you. Oh, that's it right there, so.
R alert.
R alert, yeah.
And you said at what time? 11?
11:32, the school goes on a lockdown. Doesn't give me, the teachers can message and stuff like that, say one of the teachers, hey, I sent, John Doe to the counselor's office.
Mhm.
Does somebody have them, and whoever, the counselor can respond, yes, I got her. Or some of the teachers say,
So it's a mass?
it's a mass, yeah. All the teachers are required to log in and set up an account,
Mhm.
you know, to their school, so.
Okay.
And just to be clear, there was nobody assigned to Robb Elementary on that day.
Nobody was assigned to Rob.
Is that a normal?
Yes, that's a normal.
Okay. And
And usually we have an early guy, the early shift is from 7 to 9. From 7 AM to 4 PM.
okay.
Okay, that's the early person. The early person does the rounds outside of the high school. Goes and visits the other campuses in the morning.
So there is not one school
There-
that has a permanent officer, as far as you know, here in Uvalde?
The only one that has a permanent officer that's, she's stationed there is Officer Flores and ourselves. We're at the high school. That's our home base. So, but there's days that, hey, you need to go, you know, the traffic, hey, there's a pursuit coming in. Go stand by Rob, or go stand by dual language. We don't get involved in the pursuits, we just make sure nobody comes in and out, because sometimes they just put the campus on secure. On a secure means that if you're inside a building, you're free to move within the building, but nobody outside the building. You know, on a lockdown, everything, lights off, everything out of sight, you know? No communication, no nothing. The teachers are prompted, the principal's prompted to have a password with the teachers and only share it with the teachers. And when he comes on to the intercom, he'll say, okay, password so-and-so, we're good, the secure's been lifted. But he also, the administrators, whoever sets that alarm, can put the school off of lockdown, can close it, so.
And does Uvalde ISD PD have non-commissioned security guards at any of the schools?
We have a security guard at the high school,
Non-commissioned?
non-commissioned.
Just,
He's just a security, that's his, he's part of the school district PD, but he's just a security guard. And all he does is basically man the gates, and we'll utilize it for security at the local football games, basketball games, whatever we need, so. He has our authority, he just doesn't have the arresting power, so,
Right. does he carry a weapon?
no.
And who's answering?
That's gonna be Chris Sanchez. And he's always at the high school. He's always stationed at the high school. That's his campus.
Just going back on someone's. So you've been assigned to the Uvalde High School?
Yes.
Correct? On that particular day, or that's your normal?
That's my normal campus, yes.
From 9 to 6?
It
Is that
depends.
consi- okay,
Well,
that could
because-
change?
Yeah, because we have the early shift, which is 7 to 4,
Mhm.
and then we got 8 to 5, and then we have 9 to 6.
How often does it change?
It changes every week. Like this week, I would've been the 9 to 6 guy, so
Okay.
next week I would've been the 7 to 4 guy.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So it goes backwards?
Yeah, it goes, yes. And the only ones that actually utilize that shift are Officer Ruby Gonzales, Officer Ruben Reese, and myself. The lieutenant usually comes in at 8, chief comes in at 8, and Cecilia, Officer Flores, who's stationed at the Morales, she comes in at 8.
Okay.
Sometimes, we've had an incident where the traffic control at Dalton, the principal refuses to put somebody out there crossing guard, so we do that. So lately, it's been since I think after the holidays, the 8 o'clock guy comes in early and does the traffic control at Dalton from 7 to like 7:45.
Okay.
So we do that, and then we go to the high school.
Okay. Are you allowed to leave the high school?
Yeah.
To go patrol?
Yes,
Say, I wanna go to the junior
yeah.
high?
And then what I was saying, the early guy, the 7 to 4 guys, does the early rounds, visit all the other campuses, and then the late guy visits all the campuses, so.
Okay.
Unless there's something major going on, and like I said, sometimes all 3 or 4 of us are have something going on, we're all working something together, So there's not, sometimes we don't do rounds, because we're housed there with the administrators, so.
Where's the main office for the school district?
The
police
main,
department?
it's gonna be there at the Uvalde High School.
At the Uvalde High
Yes.
School, that's your main office?
Yes. And it's gonna be number 1 Kyle Trail.
Number 1, Kyle Trail?
Yes, sir. The chief has his office there, along with his administrative secretary, and we call it the squad room, where she's at, and then all three, Lieutenant Hernandez, Officer Reese, Officer Gonzales, and myself have our own independent offices.
Okay,
And throughout, we're scattered throughout the, inside of the high school.
okay. So the school district police department, you said is the chief around the lieutenant, 3 police officers, plus the female that recently just left?
Yes, we're officers.
Okay, so it'd have been a total of 6, like you said?
Yes.
But right now it's 5?
Yes,
Okay. And how many marked units do you have?
6 units.
6 units? So every officer?
Well, actually,
has a-
there's only, well, the 3 Ford Fusions are marked, and Officer Reese is marked, but he has a gold decals.
Okay,
And chief and the lieutenants are just explorers, great explorers. They have red and blue lights and sirens, but no decals on them.
because they don't do traffic stops?
We don't do it, we
Okay,
don't.
so just to be clear, every independent school district police officer has a way to be mobile?
Yes,
Okay, and they're all take-home units?
they're all taking
Okay,
notes.
so at any given time, you can respond from your house if
Yes.
there's an emergency? And you get, that's within your policy, I guess your police department allows you, hey, you hear something major?
Yes.
You can
yes,
respond?
Yes, yeah.
Is your-
And most of the time, we'll hear the traffic, the radar traffic, and we have like a group text, and hey, there's a pursuit coming in.
Mhm.
They're coming in, and they're gonna be, by either the dual languages is on 90 West. It's
Mhm.
closer, it's a block away from 90 West,
Mhm.
about the 1,000 blocks, so it's there. So if we know it's coming that way, we'll start going to that area. If it's coming off of 83 South, we'll generate towards the Robb area. The early guy that's just driving around patrolling, well, that's their job. You know, if we need to come out more, we'll pull the one that's doing the traffic at Dalton, we'll go assist, you know.
Okay. Going back to when you and the officer were breaking the windows here on by the teacher parking lot,
Yes.
did you notice that there was anything on the ground? Anything that
No.
someone may have dropped?
No, not until after the fact, somebody says that, hey, there's a bag there and it's full of AR magazines, but which officer said that, I couldn't tell you right now. Possibly wearing green, maybe the camouflage, I don't know, to tell you the truth.
Okay,
So,
all right. But it was after everything, kids were getting
yeah,
evacuated?
yeah, kids were getting evacuated and running. The last classroom, I was closer, I was checking on Ruben again, and I was more towards the back. So, their kids were running, so I was just telling them to go run towards it.
When you guys were over here on the last
That
classroom?
one of the last classrooms, yes.
Okay, because they were pulling them out of the window?
Yes.
So you kind of guiding them?
Yeah.
They run this
Yeah,
way.
on that last classroom, I was kind of further back and I was guiding the kids out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you remember how many windows you guys cleared? How many classrooms?
I wanna say 4.
4?
I say 4, you know, but it could have been more.
Okay. And I'm not looking for a precise number.
Yeah, no, I wanna say 4.
Okay,
We opened one and I wanna say I observed them break 3 windows.
okay. And this is after you guys came back outside to regroup?
Yeah.
When the shots were fired inside?
When the shots, the no more, there was no more firing. Yeah.
Do you know who suggested, hey, let's start?
I wanna say it was, Sergeant Page.
Sergeant Page
Yeah.
said, okay.
And I wanna say, Corporal, or Detective Landry was there. His rank is a corporal with the Uvalde Police Department.
When you guys were doing this, did you ever see Lieutenant Martinez or Canales outside?
No,
Right, so-
I know, I heard the traffic, like I said, Lieutenant Vargas called for an ambulance to have one of the officers check,
Mhm.
and he got checked out, and I guess he came back and joined the crowd, so,
Okay,
but like, by then it was just it was massive, you know, there was officers everywhere, so.
Okay. So you exit, you're standing by the door, right? And then how many minutes go by before you guys start evacuating the kids, opening these windows?
I say maybe 15, 20 minutes we're out there, and then we started pulling kids out, about 5 to 10 minutes after that.
Was that before or after you went to go check up on Reese and Lieutenant Vargas, because he was in the unit, right? With,
He was inside Lieutenant Vargas' unit,
unit.
yeah.
So did you clear the classrooms and then go check on Reese, or did you check on him first? and then-
I wanna say we cleared some of the classrooms first, and then I went to go check on him.
Some of the classrooms?
Well, yeah, because then I went to go check on him after we cleared 2, and like I said, the other agencies started clearing them out.
Okay.
So,
So when you start clearing these windows, how many officers do you think are in the area already? Is it more than just you four?
oh, yeah, there's
Okay,
at least 40 to 60.
okay.
Yeah.
So there was plenty of
Yes,
officers
yeah, yeah,
to help?
yeah.
And you went and checked up on?
Yes.
Okay.
I wanna say I helped with two of the, one window was like I said, the first classroom, the closest one to that door, back door. That's when we opened and we were let kids out, and I actually pulled the curtains. The teachers have curtains, I pulled the curtains out, because the kids were getting tangled up.
Okay.
And then the second one, when they broke it,
Okay.
they broke it with a baton.
Mhm.
I wanna say he does undercover work for the Border Patrol. His last name's Gonzales, maybe Louis Gonzales.
Mhm.
He's a special agent. He's always
Okay.
he's always driving an Impala. That's why I know who he is.
Okay.
And then Coronado started breaking with the baton, and I remember pulling kids out because the glass was broken. And then that's when I kind of went towards Ruben to make sure he was okay.
Mhm.
And then, like I said, I was further back with Lieutenant, and Lieutenant, he was inside the vehicle.
Mhm.
And then that's when they started pulling more kids out, and I just started guiding them.
Okay. And the vehicle's right behind the teacher parking lot?
I want to say the teachers are parked there, and I want to say maybe 1 or 2 rows of teachers, and Lieutenant Vargas' vehicle's there. It's a black Tahoe, all
Okay.
blacked out.
All right,
I don't even think it has decals on it,
okay,
and it's an older model Tahoe.
all right. Commissioner Young? No? Is there anything you wanna add or something you think you might wanna know?
Now that I can sit back, I went tunnel vision, like I said, with the lady that was running. But like I said, they said they were running to the school, and that's where I saw,
Mhm.
and, you
You
know,
locked in on her?
I locked in on her. You know, that was my mistake, but it was just the adrenaline rush going, and, you know, shots fired and stuff like that, so it was just, you know. Because on the radio it said there was a lady shot in the head on Diaz Street, which is 2 blocks down, but I didn't know that the relationship on that, so.
Okay. So that call came in,
That call came in when the accident came in,
okay.
yeah.
Was it a few minutes apart?
I wanna say it was within a minutes of each other, you know.
Okay.
I wanna say the first call came in of 10:50,
Mhm.
a guy wrecked into the bar ditch.
Okay.
And then the call come out that he had a gun
Mhm.
and he was running towards the school.
Mhm.
So, and then they say, hey, there's also a lady shot in the head on Diaz Street. She's been
Mhm.
shot in the head, so.
Okay. Okay. So at the beginning of the interview, that 1050 that you're talking about, was that the pickup truck?
That's a pickup truck.
They're
It was
calling in?
brown in color, almost
Okay,
like
so that's why you were responding to
Yes.
Robb Elementary
Yes.
School? Okay.
well, I'm responding because they say the guy's running to the school. I didn't respond to the accident. That's a PD traffic. I'm going over because they say the guy's going to the school and has a gun.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why I'm
what
going,
it
that's why I'm responding to the school.
Okay.
So from that bar ditch, he would have went in through this gate, correct?
Yes.
And if he's walking and you're coming in, you saw the lady, so you really never saw him?
No.
I mean,
No, I tunnel vision on her. I shot at her. I went at her.
You said she's a female coach, right?
Female coach,
Short black hair?
short black hair,
Okay,
maybe named Natalie. I'm not sure.
okay.
And she was wearing like a peach, maybe orange shirt,
Mhm.
maybe khaki shorts. white shorts, I can,
Okay.
yeah.
But she, once you make contact with her, she kept telling you
Yeah,
he's running this way?
he's over there and he's, by the teacher parking lot, he's
Mhm.
wearing black, and then that's when the shots started going, but I never saw him.
So really, when you and now, so now I'm starting to understand that, so this is the building, right? This is the school. And teachers park like this, facing the wall?
Yes,
Okay.
some
And you
going,
said-
some in reverse, some are
Okay.
facing forward, yeah.
So they can be facing this way,
Yeah.
that way, whatever.
I wanna say the last vehicle was a black vehicle.
Black, okay. And you said there's 2 rows?
I wanna say there may be a second row.
There might be
Yeah.
a second row, pretty spaced out
Yes.
to give these
Yeah,
people. maybe-
because I think,
I'm assuming-
I think the only, and like I said, I'm just, I'm not saying for sure, but I think only the teachers that are housed in that back room
In this building?
and that building are the ones that park there.
Okay. But on occasion, you remember seeing that there may be a second.
Yeah, there may be a second row. Yeah.
So the fence line runs something like this, and then here, the horseshoes.
Yeah, for the
right
school
there,
buses.
like the
yes.
half moon, and then the fence comes down this way, and you have let's call it a culvert, that
Yeah,
concrete
yeah.
drainage ditch?
Yes,
Okay, and the truck's facing this way, right?
the actual front of the truck is
Yes.
facing, southbound.
Southbound?
Yes.
That
Yeah,
way?
yes.
Okay, the tree line? Okay. And this gate's wide open?
Yes, that's the gate I come through.
Okay. So what I'm saying is, if the female's about right here, the door, and then there's a walkway, because there's a pavilion, I know that. I
There's
saw
a
the
tree
big
there. Yeah, there's a
A
tree there.
pretty big tree, right, it gives a lot of shade.
I wanna
I saw
say,
it yesterday, so.
there's 2 trees. There's a tree more closer, I wanna say there's a tree closer to the basketball court. But
Okay,
that one, the one I'm talking about, maybe about 12 inches wide, 13
Okay.
inches wide.
because there's a sidewalk right here, right, in front of the classrooms, that goes into this door.
Sidewalk,
Or is there trees here?
there's trees there,
Okay, and then you got vehicles.
vehicles.
So you come in, you hear there's a subject running
Yes.
into the school. Did they give a description?
No.
Just,
She gave me the description. of-
she gave you the
She is,
description,
yeah.
over the radio?
No,
Did they give
no
it?
description.
So when you're coming in, you notice this
I
vehicle
see the
crashed
vehicle,
out,
yes.
and then she's wearing orange or
And she's,
peach.
right, yeah,
So you drive in all the way up here, right?
yes.
Do you think it's possible that maybe when you were driving up, the subject could have been behind cars and
He
trees?
could have been, like I said,
But you never saw it?
I never saw him.
Okay. Oh. Okay, now I understand. And that weird curve is right here, right?
Yeah, and like I said, I never saw him make entry,
Mhm.
so, but that's the gate I came in, because it was wide open,
Yeah.
you know?
So it just makes sense to go through there?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
Because my thing is, the radio traffic said he's running towards the school.
Mhm.
And, you know, the girl, the coach, short hair, you know, I wanna say maybe
Somebody could have
between
mistaken her?
65, 100 yards away from me.
Mhm.
You know, I don't have great vision, you know, but it's not bad, but I can see somebody running,
Mhm.
you know, and just, I went on her.
Do you wear glasses?
They call shooting glasses, because, to shoot.
Okay, but not like reading
No, no, not
prescription
reading glasses,
glasses?
no, no.
Contacts?
No.
Okay, all right, just checking. This road right here,
Geraldine.
Geraldine?
Yes.
Okay. And this would be Old Carrizo?
Old Carrizo.
Okay.
And where the truck wrecked out, that's gonna be Grove Street.
Grove Street over here, or
Yes.
this, the one that cuts it?
The one that, yeah, the one that intersects right there.
Okay.
The
Grove
T,
Street.
yeah.
Okay.
And it's a little bit off, so I wanna say
Yeah, it's not a perfect
it's
team.
not a perfect team, because just what I saw was more towards, if you're looking at the rail system, the one more to the right-hand side. Looking at it, the right-hand side had more damage than
Okay,
anything else, you know?
all right. Okay.
You know, I wanna say the driver's side door was open, but, you know, I can't tell you for sure, but
Mm.
you know, a quick glance, you know.
Mhm.
Radio traffic said they were running to the school, so that was my priority, you know,
Yeah.
so,
No, there's a lot going on.
oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna go ahead and terminate the interview.
Okay.
It's approximately 5:46 PM, and we're gonna stop the interview at this time.